Hello, everyone. My name is Bridget Husk, and I am the Senior Manager of Patient Advocacy for Horizon Therapeutics. I'm so excited to be here today with all of you as you begin the next couple of days of learning in community. A little bit about Horizon. So we are a biotechnology company that's focused on rare autoimmune and severe inflammatory diseases. My role specifically is working on our patient advocacy team. So I have the opportunity to work with all of these communities and to really partner and understand the work that amazing groups like this one are doing to support the community. My career began in rare disease, actually. So I've worked at nonprofits before and just really enjoy the opportunity to get together and bring community together. I'm thrilled for all of you and all of this great learning that you're going to partake in the next couple of days. And just know it's going to be a really amazing time. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm so excited and I hope you enjoy it all. Thank you.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to go and do the thing. Peace, y'all. I'm Damian Washington, a multiple sclerosis patient, and I run the YouTube vlog No Stress MS. And I'm going to be the moderator here on this panel of being the CEO of your own care. And it's enough to have a medical condition, but you have to be at the top of that chain where your doctors, your family, the information that you absorb all have to sort of fit into what works for you and your vision because you're the chief executive officer. On this panel here, we have Aliza Gazik. She is someone who is in the Haas School of Business and Public Health. And we have Ali DiGiacomo. She has rheumatoid arthritis and is a TikToker and does all the TikToks without the dances. I don't know. But hopefully we all will sit here and chop it up about managing your own healthcare. What's up, you all? Good to see you again.
Yes, nice to see you. Good to see you.
Good to be seen. So please get quick in and out about yourself. Ali, take it away.
Yes. Hello, my name is Allie. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I got diagnosed with juvenile idiopathic arthritis at the age of 15. I am 29 now, so I've been through it. So I am a personal trainer for my day job, but I also love to bring awareness for rheumatoid arthritis, especially with teens and young adults, because when I was getting diagnosed, there was really nobody out there that I knew that had it. So I really needed that connection. So I started bringing awareness on Instagram and TikTok and gained a following on TikTok. There's a lot of us out there. And so what I like to do is I like to bring awareness through comedy. So I make really funny videos about the disease and managing it.
Lovely. Aliza?
Yeah, thanks, Damian. My name is Aliza. I am in Oakland, California, and I'm getting my master's in business and master's in public health at UC Berkeley. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 16, which is also about half my lifetime ago, similar to Allie. And navigating the healthcare system and managing my care turned me into a huge self-advocate and inspired me to help others advocate for themselves in managing chronic illness and other conditions. This interest has also inspired my career path. Knowing how hard it was for me to navigate the system, especially with certain privileges like being white and being able to pay for my care, made me see how much harder it is for people from underserved communities who may not have those privileges. And so I'm in grad school and almost finished to try and make the experience of navigating care better for everyone.
Right, Allie, you've had rheumatoid arthritis half of your life at least. So how do you manage all of these things? Like you got to go to the doctor's appointment. You got to keep the things straight. Did you do the copay? Like what?
Yeah. What? It's a lot. And I just want to say, like, if you guys are on this call and listening, then you're one step ahead of where I was, like, 10 years ago. So nice. That's amazing. But quickly, like my binder is massive. I tried to get organized in the beginning before it was papers everywhere with my doctors. And if you have an autoimmune disease, we are there all the time. So I tried to get super organized with the binder. I think that was a little bit too much, but starting to scan everything online so I didn't have to carry that binder with me everywhere. So now I scan everything online every single little receipt that I get, all of my tests
Mm.
that I get. Luckily, everything is online now, but back 15 years ago, it wasn't. Getting an amazing planner has really helped. And I don't just have a planner, but I also have a journal where I journal everything, like all the doctor's appointments, because it gets overwhelming. So journal those doctor's appointments and keep yourself on track, but also asking for help. You don't always have to do it yourself. So getting like my partner helps me a lot, or my mom. So yeah, managing that and just keeping to a schedule, and being your best advocate for that. And also, if you need to make an appointment, do it right then and there. Do not put it off. But yeah, so just a very fantastic planner and a medical journal is where I track all of my symptoms and keep notes with my doctors, because a lot of doctors don't communicate back and forth too, which is really tricky.
Respect. Thank you. And we see, I see we have Monica Ritchie here, nurse practitioner. Thanks for joining us, Monica. Glad
Hi,
you could be
guys.
here. Glad you
I
could be
mean,
here. And thank
yeah,
you.
well, I'm happy to be part of the panel. You know, it's like I think the best medicine is the community medicine, where all communicate and listen to each other. You know, it's not just about the disease. I always tell my patients, you have a life outside of the office, and I need to know what's going on in your life. If there's anything going on that is hindering, you know, stopping your care or anything, I need to be the first one to hear you. So it has to be a very open and frank communication between us.
Right. Speaking of, so we all have specialty diseases. So that means we all have to go to specialty pharmacies. You can't exactly just walk down the street to the regular pharmacy and get the meds that you need. Monica, you deal with this all day, every day. How do you navigate specialty pharmacies and patients? And you see
Oh
my
my
hands,
goodness.
that's an
Yeah,
infinite loop.
yeah.
How do you manage
So,
that?
that's a schooling on itself, right? So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term PBMs. So in the old days, when the biologics actually first came in, I could hand you a prescription. You will go to your local pharmacy and actually pick up that prescription. And then their pharmacy benefit managers came into play. So what are the pharmacy benefit managers? They're like companies that your insurance company actually hired to manage your medications, right? They don't care for you know, criteria. They don't care for whatever recommendation. They do their own business, and that's all they care for. So let's say that, you know, maybe the American College of Rheumatology tell the first line medication is this medication, but they don't have an agreement with that pharmaceutical company. So they will deny me that, and they will say, no, you're going to have to take this medication. So in the end, I don't have the last say. They have the last say. I can appeal. They can deny it, which happens many times, and then you have to go to a letter. So it becomes a really, really big work for the office, for us, and for you guys, because you're like, oh, my doctor ordered me this. Where is my medication, right?
Yeah,
It
no,
takes at least a
it's
week
already making my
minimum.
head hurt, Monica.
Yeah.
Like really,
Yeah.
it makes your head spin dealing with all of these things. Aliza, how do you figure out your way in here? You're going to school for this, man. You're learning the bigs. How does this go for you?
Yeah, I mean, I find that I have to really insert myself as an active player in this process. So if my doctor has prescribed a medication and I'm not getting it, I have to do investigating and figure out what's going on and manage everything. And so that usually means making several calls, calling the number for my insurance company, finding out that it's not the specifically right number and getting redirected, writing down the right number that I am supposed to call next time, writing down the name of the person I talked to and what they told me and when they told me to call back, because I'm always asking, like, what's the next step? How can I stay on top of this? And then usually it also involves like going back to my doctor and sending a message on my electronic portal and saying, hey, this is what's going on, just to make sure it sounds right to them. And if not, can you please get in touch with them? But I honestly, it's like a full-time job managing this sometimes. And yeah, I mean, working from home is great because it's much easier to make a call in the middle of the day when a insurance company is open versus like trying to find a conference room in the office.
That seems to be a theme, like people making sure you keep track of your things. Like, yeah, I have a little notebook that the only thing that goes in it is what time did I speak to the person? What is that person's name? What did that person tell me to do? And just so I have the receipts and be able to go back and keep my stuff straight, because you still have your condition in the middle of all this and you're hurting, and you just not only want some relief, you want to figure out your way up. So it's important to be able to manage this, you chief executive officer, and have your information systems in line, because the buck is going to stop with you. And that means that your health and your well-being is going to stop with you. Now, all of this stuff is expensive, expensive and costly. Like Monica, you were talking about PBAs or PBO. I don't even know the acronym. So
Yes.
how do you deal with all of this expensive people in different places and multiple people in numbers? Like, how do you manage the expense of this?
So since the PBM came into place, all offices now have somebody who's in charge of prior approvals, right? And there's prior approvals for radiology, there's prior approvals for medications, there's prior approvals for injectables, for infusions. It's a huge burden and it's a huge bureaucracy that they created on our side, right? And we just try to get over it. Like my office, I'm lucky enough that I work with the pharmacist and she does all my prior authorizations. And, communication with the patient. So what I'm saying, hey, I'm prescribing you this medication. I don't know what your insurance is going to tell me. So hold on. Don't do any research yet, because they may change your mind, right? And it will take me 2 weeks to get it approved. And then there's the copay issue, right? Because you're going to get a call, say your copay is $5,000, and you almost had a heart attack and say, Monica, you're crazy. Get out of here. I'm not paying for the medication. And then we have to work now with the pharmaceutical company to get your copay card. So there's so many steps, and every day they make this matter more complicated for us. And I can imagine how huge of a burden is for you guys. I had to get a phone call. Hey, yeah, your medication is ready to ship. Just send us a credit card with $5,000 in it.
Can you do that? Like, you already have a job as a nurse practitioner, and facilitating this care is another job on top of that. And like we were all saying, that it's one thing to be the patient, but you are also the one facilitating all of this back and forth between various companies, between the insurance, between offices, to get that ball rolling. Like it can be mind spinning at times. Like, Allie, like sorry, not Allie. I'm just going to say, Lady DiGiacomo, how do you run these streets out here?
How do I run the streets? I love it.
Yeah, that's yours.
I
now.
love it. Yeah.
How do you check in and keep all of this stuff straight, man?
It's hard. Yeah. So I guess like three main things. So good communication with your doctors and nurse. Like I text my infusion nurse, we talk. And so let them explain it to you. Be like, okay, so we're going to go on this medication. Tell me what I need to do with insurance. What do I need to do? What are you doing? So really good communication with them. Most doctors have a portal, so you can message there, or sometimes nurses give you their number. Like in my case, I got really lucky. So we'll text like, what do I need to do insurance wise? The next thing is learn how the process works. It is very difficult. Like I still don't know some things. So try to learn the process. Ask a lot of questions. When they call you with $5,000, be like, okay, is there a copay assistance? But you probably don't even know that a copay exists. So my third thing is to get with somebody who understands it. Like I have a friend who has the same disease as me, and or my Instagram, if I'm going to start a new medication, I'll be like, hey, I'm starting this medication. I'll put it on my story. Can somebody reach out to me? So they'll DM me. I'll be like, give me the rundown on this medication. Let me know what your insurance does. Let me know if there's a copay. Like, what do I need to do? And then I'll chat with that person. And I'll have a friend who's actually really good with insurance. And so they will give me some guidance about what to do. Maybe they'll even sit with me when I call insurance to ask questions, because I know a lot of us get on the phone and we get really nervous. Same with our doctors. So have somebody with you to double check. And yeah, so those three things.
No, thank you. Like Aliza, you are in school for business in public health and in this whole industry. Now, how is that overlapping with actually being a patient and actually being someone who has to do this day in and day out? How are these things blending, especially hearing these themes ringing true with the practitioners and the other patients?
Totally. I mean, it just motivates me even more to try and change the system. That's why I'm here, is because of my personal experience. And so every time that I have frustrating calls with my insurance company, or a hard time getting an appointment at the doctor, or see how I'm working with my care team and even we can't get something approved, I'm like, okay, this is one person's experience. So many people are having this experience and we need to try and make it better. So I interned at a health insurance company. I interned at a healthcare startup. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to land after grad school come January. But there are so many different players in the healthcare system. It's really complicated and a lot of mixed incentives. And it's hard to find your path.
Wow, mixed incentives. That is a word that a phrase I've never heard before, but actually rings so true to everything that we're doing here. And it's part of being a CEO means that you're surrounded with great VPs and you have good people on your team to not pass the ball to, but also just to hand the baton over to ensure something happens and so that they can return a result to you. Monica, like, have you had experience with patients and then family members or friends of patients all coming together to coalesce to ensure that the patient gets their best health outcome?
Always. I always tell my patients, if you want to bring somebody, because we are talking and we talk about so many things, and then you get like, what did you say? So bring somebody, it's important for what medications, how I change the dose, right? I try to give written instructions, but, people get get lost in the conversation. So there's a lot that goes on. So I always tell, either bring somebody, you're entitled to tape record me if you must. We have some patients who have severe memory loss from their disease, and I absolutely allow them if they ask me to. It's not a problem at all.
Allie, oh no, I'm sorry. No, you go finish that.
No, yeah. And then and to the other point is you need to know on your insurance who your care manager is. That is your go-to person if you have a question. So you don't have to always talk to the poor Joe on the member benefit line that knows absolutely nothing about your care. So one phone call it's important for you to make is call your insurance and who is my care manager. That is usually a registered nurse, and they are to be in order, that their mandate, their only job is to take care of you and know what's going on. So if you have a question, go straight to them instead of calling member benefits, because they usually don't know much.
That is the biggest, most shiny jewel that has been dropped today. Establishing that relationship and having that direct contact. So no, thank you for bringing that up. You also touched on community, which is where I was about to start to go. But yes. Allie, you have been someone to not only manage, but bring together community in droves and have that support and have that information and have that thread of connectedness, because autoimmune conditions, they're isolating. You're a community manager and leader. Like, how has that gone into advancing your care and advancing the care for others?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I am still shocked about how many people I know who have an autoimmune disease. But yeah, it has helped so much. It has helped me, but also because we have such a huge community on here. If anybody has any questions, I just pop it on my story and I ask, and there are tons. Like, I have connected many people together who have the same autoimmune disease, and it just brings me so much joy. I still get butterflies thinking about it, but also helping our care, because of course, like, we're not doctors and nurses. I mean, yes, many of us, some of them in the community are, but also we're just talking from a patient perspective, like how we feel and like how we can do this. And again, like you touched before on being in pain and also managing this at the same time. So asking for help, it really helps. Asking for help. You don't have to do this alone. And that's what my main focus is, bringing awareness, is that you're not in this alone. So just reaching out. So if anybody has any questions, message me. The community is vast and we can get your answers, or at least get some assistance and some help.
Now, Lisa, you are in school and you're in pain and you're like, there's so many different things. Like, how do you manage being someone who is trying to get a bunch of syllables after their name, after their other syllables that they got in their other degrees? How do you manage that also along with your conditions?
Yeah, I mean, my answer has some similarities to Allie's. So when I started grad school in fall of 2020, obviously it was a unique time. I learned that there were lots of conversations happening on campus about diversity and inclusion, and that disability wasn't really a big part of those conversations. And I ended up starting a club with another classmate who also has chronic illness for students with disabilities, and really introducing that into the conversation on campus. And through that club, which was mostly a Slack community for the first year because we were online due to COVID.
Oh, you're cutting edge. You're out here with.
It was a place for people to be really real about what they were dealing with whatever condition that they have. And I think that it's easy in society to maybe like hide, especially if you have an invisible disability or condition. But there's so much power in finding community and support and helping each other through what is a tough time for a whole community of people. And so starting that community and being part of it has been a big part of what's gotten me through.
There's been a recent New York Times article about disability, people with disabilities, and some doctors just sort of shirking their responsibility because sometimes a patient with these disabilities can be more to manage, or maybe they cost more, or maybe they go on vacation and then never come back. Like it's crazy to me that not crazy, but it's startling to me that medical professionals also deal with the frustrations that we ourselves are dealing with as well. And it's gotten to the point where the paper of record has been able to codify these things and present them to the public. Like Monica, have you had any experience with these sorts of things?
I mean, I think it has to be an open conversation, and sometimes I even tell my patients, like, do you need me to do anything for you, right? Because there's always like, you guys don't want to do or don't want to ask for, I have sometimes to pull out of a patient. I don't have a problem doing any paperwork. I don't have a problem. I think like you have to tell me what you need, and I will be happy to write that letter. I will be happy to find the paperwork. What becomes a burden is what comes after, because then like your job is going to send me 30 pages of paperwork to fill out for your disability. Like school is not a big deal. School will take a letter. It's not a big deal. On our side, it's just the amount of paperwork that comes. But I have to go, you have your life, and I have to go by what you tell me. I cannot just look at your labs like, oh, it's like, if you're telling me you cannot do this, or if you need more time to do that, then that's what it is. And I have to respect that.
Yeah, the whole idea of my whole brain is like, somebody get a Monica in your corner. That person will do the due diligence and the follow-up that is really necessary in the ping pong of managing your condition, man. As we are going through this managing, like because there are people on the other end of the line, I have found that the smile
goes a long way.
It gives a different energy to what you have going on. And most of the folk, not most of the folk, a lot of the folk that you're dealing with, they kind of really don't know where the ball is at this point. And what the energy that you bring really helps facilitate the further movement of it. Like you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And I know the process is going to put a lot of vinegar in your veins, child. But it's important to take that time and to have your information and to really center yourself so that you can put your best foot forward. So you can get the best outcomes. Yeah. Yeah. It's the idea of that. It cannot be underlined or underscored any more than that. And that's an important thing. Like, so my brain is like, Aliza, does that resonate with you? Does that ring true? Like, talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. I have found that it works to make friends with kind of like anyone who may be able to help me and support me, and also because it's so emotional. Like you are out there advocating for yourself, trying to work through things that you don't understand when you don't feel well and want something desperately that will help you. It's vulnerable. Like I can not count the number of times that I've cried on the phone with an insurance company because there are too many times in the last 16 years. So yeah, just connecting with people as humans, I find really helps. One other thing I wanted to mention, that's related is that I've had to learn how to set boundaries, because especially with an autoimmune condition, I think that I was on like a dozen different diets in my teenage years. And this was before anyone was eating gluten-free or paleo or like any of these things. And I was bringing like lettuce wraps to lunch in high school. But I experimented with tons of different diets, ultimately found kind of like what worked for me and didn't. And so now when I'm in new settings where like I'm seeing a new acupuncturist and I know that they're going to want me to try the diet that they want to prescribe, I say in my first appointment, like, I'm here for the acupuncture treatment and I'm not open to experimenting with diet right now. Like, I have found what works for me and I need to protect my mental health and like not do another elimination diet for the next 6 weeks. And so creating those boundaries has served me.
That every time somebody says something, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna have the other person speak about that. Oh, I want to have the other person speak about that, because that all, not only does it all ring true, the buck stops with you, man. You are the person who's not feeling well. You are the person who has to deal with these things and still manage your regular life on top of and through not feeling well. No, it's amazing that so many different people from so many different segments of the health community are here and speaking on these matters. So no, really, really, thank you for coming here and speaking truth to power about the resolve that's necessary to put your health matters in the front, so that the person with the health matters can actually get that care. And sometimes that can be really hard to do, but you are the chief executive officer. The buck stops with you. You execute these things, and that's why you need a team. That's why it's important to get your emotions together and have your record tracked. You guys, anything else you would each like to put in this jambalaya here? I got about maybe 5 minutes here. Let's see, Monica, talk to me. What else was the last thing you would say to people, Monica?
I think you guys touch on everything, right? You need a community. You need people around you that you're secure with, that you're comfortable with, that you can, you have a shoulder to cry on, or you have the shoulder to yell on. You have to have a provider that you are able to communicate clearly and openly. That open communication with the provider has to be present, right? If you have somebody who's not listening to you, it's kind of like a marriage. You have to find your partner, right? So you have to have that. You have to have everybody who's in your team in the office. Who is the person in charge of your primary or of your prior authorizations? Who is this doctor or your provider, whoever it is that you can talk to? Sign for the portal, please. Sign for the portal. You have no idea how many patients I don't have in the portal. Please sign for the portal. It's easy. It's easy to get in touch with me. And then yell at your insurance, but yell at the right person. Care management. And then know who's your PBM, your pharmacy benefits. Is that CVS, Accredo, Express Script? Whoever that is, you need to know, because they're the ones who are actually managing your medications.
Lady Giacomo, you seem to have written something down, girl. Talk about it.
I just wrote PBM down. I swear to God. I just wrote it down. I was like, remember to do this. I swear I just wrote that. It's hilarious. Everything Monica said, like I'm over here like clapping, snapping, everything. Yep. And then coming from a patient perspective, that community, I know I talk about this all the time on my social media, but that community, like a shoulder to cry on, like Monica said, but also somebody to help you through this, because, we're in pain. It's hard to do this. It's a lot. Not only are you trying to deal with this, but you're like dealing with your symptoms and notating that. I guess my biggest piece of advice is like that medical journal I talked about in the beginning. Mine is huge. And I write down my symptoms every day. I have like a little guy on there and I write like where I'm hurting. And I bring that with me to the doctor, so that because sometimes when we get to the doctors, we get nervous. And so just have it written down, ready to go.
Wow. Yeah, no, this is it. Aliza, this is it. Final minute. What's the last thing you want to say?
The last thing I want to say is that I have learned a lot about taking care of myself. And so you asked me the question about how do I manage my chronic disease when I'm in grad school. Actually, grad school has been a really amazing time to experiment with, like, again, setting more boundaries and prioritizing my health, my sleep, my time away from the computer, et cetera. And so now as I'm looking for a full-time job, I'm asking questions about what does work-life balance look like? You know, what hours are people working? Are you expected to respond to emails late at night, et cetera? Because it's really important to me to be able to set boundaries and prioritize myself and my well-being.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you all for these points. Thank you, Autoimmune Association and Horizon Therapeutics, for holding this space and making this stage for all of us to play on and dance on. And thank you for coming and watching. And I'm Damian Washington, the host of No Stress MS on the YouTubes. If you have the multiple sclerosis, go on over to youtube.com/No Stress MS. And I can't make it better, but I can make you laugh. So, but really, thank you all for joining us. And I'm not sure what the next session is, but I know it's going to be a good one.